It's happened, everybody. The stars are aligning. It seems like the dream could be happening. The next God of War game is reportedly centered around Egyptian mythology. Yes, I'm wearing pants. I love me some ancient Egyptian anything. I love it. Yes, I'm also wearing moccasins. I love it. I got a pyramid over here. I got a lot of books on ancient Egypt all over the house. I love it. I ramble about it constantly. I play Thousand Suns in Warhammer 40k because I love ancient Egypt themed stuff. I just love it. Don't know why. It's probably some childhood trauma or something that I hold it so dear, but I just find it fascinating and I love it. I love it. I love it dearly. And so to hear them possibly going to ancient Egypt for the next Kratos adventure, and the idea of getting like a PS5, PS6 powered massive epic video game focused on ancient Egyptian lore and stuff, dude, I try to be clear with you guys when I have a bias on stuff, because I don't want you to go into something thinking like, oh, Luke's being hypercritical or very, very level-headed when he's talking about Warhammer or like the Titanic or something. Like, no, I'm a geek for that stuff. So you should go into that knowing where I'm at. If this ends up being the case, I'm going to be like, I'm going to have a very hard time keeping my emotions in check if it's like a big epic Egyptian themed hack and slash narrative cinematic adventure game. Like, I'm going to lose it. Okay. I'm gonna lose it. Just be ready. To be specific about all of this, the next God of War game could be making its way to Egypt, according to a report from Daniel RPK, which it looks like the link is paywalled. Sony is casting currently, or Sony is, this is written weird. Sony is currently casting. Sony's casting for Middle Eastern actors for a new game. Quote, Sony is casting Middle Eastern actors for an unknown AAA game, which is likely to be the next God of War that explores Egyptian mythology, the report says. It's important to note that this information hasn't been confirmed or independently verified by Insider Gaming. Until that happens, please take this news with a grain of salt. Moving to Egyptian mythology wouldn't be surprising should it happen. The God of War saga began in Greek mythology before shifting to Norse for the modern games. Moving to a new pantheon would make sense for the next era of the franchise. As far as Egyptian specifically, it's been mentioned in the past, such as this one with the game post, that Sony Santa Monica originally considered centering the game around Egyptian mythology for the 2018 revival before settling on the Norse setting, which I believe there was even, what was that trailer? The like sizzle reel trailer. It was specifically like a little bitty trailer. I think they said it was supposed to be on the end of a DVD or something. And it just was Kratos standing in a cave, and then he like stands up and kind of looks over his shoulder. There have been other things where they've experimented with Kratos going to Egypt. For example, there's like comics and stuff where they show Kratos going to Egypt and passing through there on his way to Greece. So there's stuff that confirms that that's at least an option, and it shows that they kind of did a proof of concept exploration of the world, what Egypt would be like in this universe. So it's an option. It's an option. And this report, as they said, has not been backed up by anybody. It's just the one group that's saying it at this point. So of course you should take it with a big grain of salt. Unfortunately, I would love it if it was confirmed, but that's all we can really do. I think the first pitch I gave was that I can't read. I think the first pitch I gave was that we wouldn't even know what was happening, creative director Cory Barlog said. So it was Kratos walking through the desert, because we were, in my mind, still doing in Egypt initially, wind, sand blowing all over the place as it's kind of crawling through, and then kind of stands up over a dune and checks out this really fantastic ancient city. Oh, is this the link to it? This, oh God, why didn't I just keep reading the thing? Okay, I found it. This, it was raising Kratos. God damn, I'm good, but not good enough.
I think the remainder, or the rest of the studio, the rest of the team, we had really worked together, this core group of like 11 people, to find the best sort of version of what we were talking about.
Yeah, this is what I was looking
wasn't
for.
even gonna be
Oh, it froze.
his kid. Like, I think the first pitch. Initially, it wasn't even gonna be his kid. Like, I think the first pitch I gave was that we wouldn't even
Why is it
know what was
frozen?
happening. So it was like Kratos walking through the desert.
That was weird.
Because we were, in my mind, still doing Egypt initially. Wind, sand blowing all over the place as he's kind of crawling through. And then kind of stands up and crests over a dune and checks out this really fantastic, like this ancient city. And then he kind of turns around and then says, "All right, follow me." And then we kind of reveal that there's a kid there.
We have a long journey ahead.
I think it was very little. It just at least got the spark. And then that was the, oh, wait, you know, we should do this. We should try this. We should do this.
Concept art.
I was all in on some of it, but the sun thing, like, not at first.
So anyway, this is something they've thought about for a while. And after doing the Norse thing, it's lined up. I mean, the thing about God of War as a franchise is you literally run out of gods eventually. Like after Kratos starts smashing through some skulls, taking names and kicking ass, eventually you got to go somewhere else because there's just no more gods to kill. So it makes sense that they would shake it up and move somewhere else. And I also, I mean, I know some people were upset that Ragnarok was rushed, and I get it. It was kind of rushed. Feels like that could have been 2 games. It kind of expanded a bit, but I think that, you know, in hindsight, I appreciate it because it means that they are ready to get to the next thing, you know? And I do think a 3rd game in the Norse setting, in the same environments, same places, it would have been like, okay, here we go again. We've gotten really stale. It's what I also call like the Spider-Man problem with games, because there's only so many times you can explore New York City before it just feels like the same thing over and over again, you know? And they did some stuff with Spider-Man 2 to expand it, have new areas, you know, it's freshly decorated, there's new missions and activities and stuff, but ultimately it's the same city, you're exploring the same places, even if it's reworked, it's the same kind of place. So shaking it up by traveling to a different area can be really, really nice. It's why the movies also do it. I mean, like Far From Home or whatever it was called, where they went to London. Like, easy way to shake it up and make it a little bit more exciting. But with this, shaking it up completely, going from the Norse setting to an Egyptian setting, totally different art styles, totally different enemy types, totally different everything. Music, everything shifts and changes. And I love that because, again, like, we're in an era where it's just remakes, remasters, and sequels. And a lot of the time, because of that, there's just a lot of samey stuff coming out. And, you know, we joke all the time about the new meta being like popping purple zits with a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter. And it feels like every game is just a slightly tweaked version of another game that came out 6 months ago. So to have something totally fresh and different, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I hope this is actually happening. It's, of course, just speculation and rumors at this point. But I think it makes sense. And ultimately, like, the rumors and stuff are coming from Daniel Rickman, who seems has a full Patreon dedicated to leaks and rumors and stuff that people subscribe to. And that person is saying that they are actively casting Middle Eastern actors. And like, if they're actively seeking out Middle Eastern actors, I'm not sure what other type of game would line up with that. You know, you never know. I mean, you never know, but still, it would make sense if they were working on a God of War set in Egypt. Maybe you do it. You know, I'm pleasantly surprised they're not just going to cast Troy Baker in all of the roles, but you know, or who was it? It was who did they cast as Nadine? Was it Laura Bailey? Is that who they cast there? And then they got accused of doing digital blackface and stuff. That was a whole debacle. If you guys don't remember that, that was a whole thing. When people found out that was Laura Bailey, and like, but the character's black. They're like, yeah, it was that was a whole thing. Simpler times, the PS4 era, 2016, you know, with Uncharted 4. A different time, a different time. A different time, man. Oh, I forgot about that, man. That's funny. I forgot about that whole thing. There were some people that got real mad about that. It was freaking funny. And just to spite them, he cast her as Abby right after that, which was a little funny. It was a little funny. So anyway, God of War in ancient Egypt, maybe. Question mark? Here's the face for the thumbnail, Jacob. Or no? There you go. That's how you do YouTube now, right? You just make a stupid face. Fill the title with emojis. Is that how we do it? Kratos versus Cthulhu? Dude, that would unironically be amazing. Imagine if there was a game where it's like Kratos trying to fight Cthulhu, but it's like Lovecraftian horror and it's really disjointed and trippy and mind-bending. Ooh, baby. I think we're on to something. I think you're right, Frowsy. Or Fozzie. I think you're onto something. Kratos versus Jesus. You could do it like, you know, Assassin's Creed has done it in the past, where you just start beating the crap out of different popes. That could be funny. Imagine the AC like God of War crossover, where you just start beating up the Templars in papal garb. It could be funny. It could be funny. He took my thing.